they come to you live from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM, where they begin look at issues them inside the program. As the United Nations, together with the government of Salone, don't go pull the Cooperation Framework 2025 to 2030. Now, though, why this? With this now 6-year project for CC that support government for achieve the midterm national development plan. With this, according to United Nations resident coordinator na Salone, Serafi Wakana say this cooperation framework now for CC development reach to all man as Salone, no matter the situation where any citizen find himself. We report Kaifa to come to get more Engona report.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework na a 6-year project where the United Nations dey support the government agenda for achieve key priority area dem wey get for do with food system, human capital, essential service and employment, and safe governance and economic transformation. For make this project start proper one, make the United Nations together with governments don go pull the cooperation framework na door. Wey in be the talk, the head of resident coordinator office na United Nations, Robert Banamwana, say the kind amount of copper wey dem for put into this project, dem believe say by the end of the 6th year, plenty improvements go don dey na the area here.
Any plan to be implemented requires financial resources. So the 3 pillars. For pillar 1, the total required resources is around $400 million, of which 57 is tentatively available. Pillar 2, the total required resources is around $370 million. This is for 6 years. Tentatively, 48% of that is available. The last one, the total required is around $50 million, of which 45% is tentatively available. The figures might look big, but if you divide them by 6 years and across the outcomes, you will that's not that. So these are tentatively the resources available and required. To recall is that the cooperation framework is also a very important resource mobilization tool. Any important complex program requires clear governance, decision-making structure for it to succeed.
Inside Yun talk, the United Nations resident coordinator na Salone, Serafin Wakana, say the aim of this cooperation framework na for CC development reach all man as Salone, no matter the situation where any citizen find himself.
As it demonstrates our collective efforts towards sustainable development, inclusive growth, and improved well-being for all citizens of this great nation. Today's event signifies our resolve to deepen this relationship and advance Sierra Leone's sustainable development path, as well as its case to achieve middle-income country status by 2038. To this end, it is significant to note that the UN Cooperation Framework is well aligned to Sierra Leone's medium-term national development plan for 2024 to 2030. We, at the United Nations, we recognize that the successful implementation of this cooperation framework depends on strong partnerships. And considering this, let me reaffirm our commitment to working closely with government of Sierra Leone, all development partners, the private sector, civil society organizations, to fully achieve the outcomes that have been articulated in the cooperation framework in an inclusive manner, not to leave anyone behind.
With this level of determination from the United Nations, wetin our government's commitment for achieve this dream? Dr. David Senge, now the Chief Minister, he explained.
The relationship between the cooperation framework and the Big Five and the Sustainable Development Goals. We saw in the presentation the link between food systems, natural resource management, and climate change, and the government's priorities, human capital, essential services and employment, squarely fit within what we do, and certainly governance and economic transformation. But these, as we also saw, are not just derived from our brains. They are linked to the SDGs. They are linked to the AU Agenda 2063. We do not live in an island, and we recognize the impact and the role and connections that exist Now, I want to speak a little bit to our commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, the UN family, none of these ministers were forced to be here. They chose to be here. None of us are forced to collaborate with you. We choose to collaborate with you. As a government, we are very excited and want to assure you and recommit to you that in the implementation of this cooperation framework, we will be partners. We will work beside you.
One key set of people wey for really benefit from this project na disabled and young people wey make during this engagement. Dem people here talk about wetin this project mean and same way so wetin dem dey expect.
Sir Lamin Kotekwi, the Executive Secretary for the National Commission for Persons with Disability. We are sure that the cooperation framework identified areas in relation to disability inclusion on how working and advancing the SDGs can minimize or maximize synergies and impact for people with disability in Sierra Leone.
Matakawa, the chair for the United Nations Youth Advisory Group. We thank the United Nations Sierra Leone for this consideration, and we cannot take it for granted. This decision includes me as speaker to speak on behalf of the 4 million youth in Sierra Leone, stemming from the comprehensive Leave No One Behind analysis, which highlights the disproportionate challenge faced by children, youth, persons with disability, women, migrants. Therefore, call on our collective responsibility to ensure that this historic framework addresses irregular migration. From the youth perspective, this framework represents a beacon of hope and a call to action.
Then people here end up assure say dem go make dem commitments for say United Nations succeed for achieve the cooperation framework so that it go better all man as salon. For the Society for Radio Democracy, Mina Karifa to contact the report.
The program na midday show and they come to you live from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. As I be introduced my guest earlier today, say get Dr. Mohamed Sise, we now the acting national coordinator hepatitis, now the Directorate of Disease Prevention and Control, now the Ministry of Health, as they also for talk about the World Hepatitis Day, we now yesterday Sunday the 28th. So they have for talk about what the ministry they do for ensure they observe the day and what so far they don't do. The directorate don't they do for ensure say they're able to minimize the sick hepatitis in the country. Once more, good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Yeah. Thank you, moderator, and good afternoon to the citizens of Sierra Leone and everybody where they listen.
Okay. Before we can start for talk about the day when the World Hepatitis Day, then we look at which is so far done the Apple the office so far with regard the hepatitis sick.
Thank you very much, moderator. The office, the Directorate of Disease Prevention and Control, under which the director we are Dr. Lako, we don't try to do a lot with respect to the hepatitis burden in this country. Dr. Lako na somebody very passionate about hepatitis, even though na director for other 5 programs, but he specifically get a passion for see that the burden of hepatitis is reduced in this country. So a lot of things in the way the ministry under the Directorate of Disease Prevention and Control don't do for see how best we will tackle this burden of hepatitis in this country. And one of them things in the way the ministry don't do or the directorate don't do now for create a task force. This task force now a group of members then we cut across from all the sectors in the ministry, including civil society organizations them for help for see how best then go put things then together and for reduce the hepatitis burden in this country. And from the task force, the responsibility of the task force mostly now for one look at the leadership and then look at how best then will control and then reduce the burden of hepatitis in the country. One of the other thing we the government don't do now for create or develop what we call the National Strategic Plan. This document we usually all other programs then can help people or can help the ministry for able for tackle some of the issues of many of them disease there, particularly hepatitis. And we don't develop the strategic plan. We now a very good first step in the right direction for help prevent this or reduce this burden at this country. We also get what we call a strategic policy. We also dey we through the help of the ministry and then the ministers, we don't even forget this document also dey, and also we get a national guideline. This national guideline na im able for help medical practitioners for able know wetin for do in terms of how for diagnose hepatitis, in terms of how for treat hepatitis, and then also how for monitor people that will get hepatitis. Okay, so that document is also there, And then just recently, the ministry, through the Directorate of Disease Prevention and Control, don't try for integrate with a lot of programs that the ministry, especially the HIV program. So hepatitis, we can usually say na a new kid at the block, na a new program as compared to the other programs every day like HIV, malaria, TB programs them. So we not get much structures them in place. So what we can do now for integrate into already existing structures every day. Let's say for example, we get what we call elimination of mother to child transmission. We now one key way than the way people they get hepatitis from the mama to the pikin. Okay, so waiting we don't try for do as the program, we try for use the structures that we already did, we HIV get. We then the test pikin, the test mama and pikin, and the test from where woman get belly, take to the same way they born and the tester and provide services. So we don't integrate into that program day. Now we do what we call elimination of mother to child transmission. So now not to just HIV again, now HIV, hepatitis, and syphilis. This program then will launch them very soon. This project.
We will look at the mechanism where the ministry they put in place, particularly the directorate, they put in place for see how best now able for eliminate the pikin to mama transmission. For the benefit of people with the listing, when you talk of hepatitis, what's in hepatitis?
Thank you very much. Hepatitis na a disease where they affect the liver. You get a particular organ of the body where they call the liver. So usually where the liver become inflamed, by that I mean like the liver swell. Now in hepatitis, that is inflammation of the liver. So a lot of things and they really cause this hepatitis here. But the most common one are virus.
You talk about the liver. What do you mean by the liver? Is it that the liver they become damaged, or what did happen with the liver where they result to hepatitis?
So what thing they happen to the liver now that the liver it gets a lot of function. Now one of the biggest organ inside the body. Okay, and the responsibility then boku. Now in the for like what we call metabolizing, for metabolize most of the product and whether not medication now
for a small no say medical people get so the terminology is so heavy.
So the liver gets a lot of work way they do that the body, and one of the function then are for help for broke the medicine that they drink and then send out to the actual part where the body need. Okay, and they also they store what we call glucose where you don't eat some of the energy where the food they give you at the liver the store where the body need that they also they give the body, you understand. And also now in the what we call detoxify toxins them when a bad chemical the way we body they we take in through food, the liver responsible for remove that toxic chemical within our body. So it gets a lot of function. So what thing they happen when it gets infected with the virus now that the liver they become swell. Where it swell it is big, which we call liver enlargement. So where it big and it lead to what we call liver failure. So the liver they begin to fail. You're not able to do some of them irresponsibilities then where you use for they do. And after some time it become what we call fibrose. That means it becomes strong and then they're not able to perform any function again. And then the last stage waking occur now that it become canceric, it turn cancer. And the moment somebody reach that stage there is nothing we can do. And at terminal, usually where the person reach that stage then say 2 to 3 months we lost that person.
Okay. Yeah. Some other sick then we can cause by bacterial or other things then. In the case of hepatitis, is it that it caused by bacterial or something where mortal man they put inside the system or it is inside the system?
So hepatitis, like I say, a lot of things and the way they cause them. Even the medicine wey they drink, they cause them. Even too much alcohol, they hamburg the liver. But the one way like they affect liver commonly, globally in the world, not just Sierra Leone, now wetin we call the virus, the hepatitis virus. You get up to 6 forms of this virus. You get hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. But the most dangerous one there, hepatitis B, C, and D. But for Sierra Leone, the one way prevalence, way like Boku na the country, na hepatitis B. And it don't affect close to 1,100,000 people na the country. Where the prevalence are like 13.8. That is the people we get them na the country. So, actually unfortunate that this kind burden day and we get very little support from international partners for see how best we go tackle this disease. Okay, so hepatitis, it gets different symptoms and really the cause. Where you don't get hepatitis by either hepatitis B virus or hepatitis C virus. Okay, the virus na the organism, na the tumbu where they cause the disease. The tumbu where they cause the disease na hepatitis B virus and hepatitis C virus. Okay, so where you don't get hepatitis B, the symptoms and where you can get, they're non-specific. We mean say it can symptoms and similar to any other sickness like malaria or typhoid. So it's difficult for make you know say, oh, this na hepatitis again, except if you go do test. Okay. So some of them symptoms there, then they range from what we call small symptoms there to very severe one there. One of them symptoms there we call when anorexia, when a loss of appetite. The patient will begin to lose appetite. And then 2, it gets pain na belly. They begin to feel pain at the belly. Okay. And it gets what we call jaundice. In eye the yellow. Mostly when they reach that stage there, it cannot become difficult. That means the liver don't really become affected. Okay. And if they continue for good, they make the person in body they add, they become weak, they become lazy, and then the liver and the spleen they become very, very big, and they enlarge. And when they enlarge and they fail, and they stop for perform them function. When they stop for perform them function, it leads to what we call cirrhosis. That is the liver, they become strong, it become hard like any this like coconut or so, as the case may be. And when you reach that level, there is not much we can do. So most of them are just what we call palliative care with the symptomatic treatment till at the end of the day they lost the patient. We become cirrhosis and then they lead to what we call hepatocellular carcinoma. That we don't develop cancer of the liver. So this now waiting the hepatitis virus they do to the liver.
In name now Dr. Mohamed Sisse and in the acting national coordinator for and in the acting national coordinator for the National Hepatitis Program, now the Directorate of Disease Prevention and Control and the Ministry of Health. Continue for the with me now the program so that we can talk about what are some of the mechanisms then we now put in place to ensure so now reduce the way how they sick they spread now the country. The program now midday show and they come to you live from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM where they look at more issues than inside the program. The founder for the Takogama Chimpanzee Sanctuary, Bala Amara Sakaran, said if authority then and Salon now work together for protect the country in wildlife environment, the wildlife policy and business plan where the tourism sector get now not go able for better the sector. Bala Amara Sankara talked this inside one engagement with the ministry all with stakeholder them now the sector for validate the national policy and business plan for give strength to wildlife development in the country. Jaffa Mans David get more and gonna report.
For make tourism sector able for benefit the economy and attract people for travel, possibility any country get for shop and tourism, equal support for meet different area them. One pande area there, now wildlife development as the sabi and support for give strength to this area for saloon tourism. Now one side we don't get plenty challenge for growing at the tourism sector. And as way for begin give solution to them problem they are, make the ministry engage stakeholders in the sector for update them but the national wildlife policy and business plan and validate the new plan for implement the policy. Mohammed Jallo, now the director of tourism, he explained more.
Following all of that, we looked also at what is wildlife tourism. So we realized that as a country, we also need impact. But not only that, we want to also see how we can mitigate the challenges. There are many challenges: poaching, deforestation. As a result of that, we are suffering now that we have the heavy rainfall. So there needs to be a change. So what we are doing is to formulate this wildlife tourism policy. And I need to mention here that it will be aligned with the Wildlife and Conservation Act. Not contravening any provision. All we are doing is to ensure that we use tourism as a vector to support conservation. We use tourism as a vector to help to share the beautiful things we have with the world.
The Director of Tourism at the Ministry of Tourism and Cultural Affairs continue for talk about wetin the ministry go do for make sure say this policy and plan all water for better the sector.
So all of this. So we are going to work very closely with key players in the environment that you see here, National Protected Area Authority that are responsible for protection of the parks. We're going to work with CCSL, Ministry of Environment, our tourism industry, to be able to bring in the facilities that are needed in those parks. So that is why we're here today. It has proven that about 57% of the market share will be for developed countries that embarked on nature-based tourism.
Bala Amara Sekaran, now the founder for Takugama Chimpanzee Sanctuary, where he been the talk, he explained but one key issue where he believes say the ministry for begin work with other partners them for achieve.
Some controversial issues that we need to face if we need to push this through. You cannot do ecotourism related or wildlife tourism without proper law enforcement. Without that, we will not achieve this. So we need to really seriously think about how do we get to that point. I'm running a sanctuary for 30 years. Not a single prosecution for a wildlife crime in 30 years. If we don't give protection to your wildlife, that's the fundamental thing we all need to understand. If we don't understand that, we'll be fooling ourselves. We can't.
But why the ministry take this move? Dr. Khadijatu Grace Kamara, and the Deputy Minister of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, he talk about wetin this go do for give strength to the country in travel culture.
Wildlife tourism, which has encountered for about 20% to 40% of the entire tourism industry, has proven to be the key component